Well, they're holding up okay, but I think we better get these preserved today or we're gonna lose them.
Yeah! I always wondered if all those quarters I spent at Chuck E. Cheese's with skee ball would ever pay off. Look at me go. 100? No! 100! Ah! I'm behind the house right now, and this, if I were playing skee ball, would totally be the center thing. You know what I'm talking about? Little tiny one that's like the size of the ball, and all around it is like really low scores. That one. 500. Oh, off the rim. Come on. Ah.
You need more bottle. Oh, that's it. Ah. Oh, come on. Ah. Man, oh, it's terrible. That's it. That's it.
Is that shade, Bugaboo?
He sounds hot. Go to the shade.
Mom's coming with the pet machine.
My intuition was correct. We are using way too much foam. And here is a couple things that I learned from talking to Shelter. One, this is low expansion foam, which I knew. And I thought that using a high expansion foam for this application was risky because a lot of high expansion foams have enough pressure in the foam expansion to buckle substrates. That's really bad, especially with SIPs and sheetrock. Can you imagine the mess that would make if we sprayed foam in there and it just blew out on the inside? What a mess. Or buckled the roof. Whew. No, thank you. So this is low expansion foam, which means it moves slower and it takes longer to expand to its full dimension, which is partly why it's taking 24 hours for this stuff to get to its fullest form. Well, Shelter said they don't typically use low expansion foam in this particular location for that exact reason. High expansion foam, or 3 to 1 or 3 times expanding foam, or whatever it's called, it actually cures quite a bit faster, 15 to 30 minutes, and obviously it expands quite a bit faster. That said, you use a lot less foam. So we have used approximately 3 cases of foam so far on this half of the roof. Shelter said they would probably use a case to a case and a half. So we're using twice as much foam as they normally would. They did encourage us to consider using a different product on the other side of the roof. Just because you're going to use less foam, it's going to cure faster, and just those 2 things alone make it worth switching. We're going to do some research today, talk to our local supplier. They gave us a couple of product names to try or to look at, see if we can acquire them. Because the foam cures faster, you're also less likely to do the thing that was driving me absolutely nuts last night, and that is drag everything you own through the foam, because it actually gets rigid and it gets a skin on it. That's the important part, very quickly.
The other thing that I learned is that the way we have the chases made, you recall we put this chase in the middle of the panel, right? It's a 12-inch panel, so the chase is about 6 inches right in the middle. And we're injecting foam directly into that chase. I have been testing different configurations, but the barrel of the foam gun, if we shove it all the way into the chase, the barrel is approximately 9 inches long. And what's happening is we're actually forcing foam really deep into the panel. That's not a bad thing, but it's not really giving the foam a good chance to come up from the middle of the panel to the hole. Although it looks like everything that I foamed last night is actually coming out. It's this row right in the middle of the screen. What we're trying to achieve is if we get foam to come out that hole, that means that the foam is going down to the bottom of the panel, running into the sheetrock and the splines and everything on the inside, and now it's having to come back up, and the only place it can go is out that hole.
We really only get one chance to do this right, and that's the problem. It really sucks wasting foam, but we don't get a second chance. Once we put the substrate on and the roof on, there's no getting back in here without redoing a tremendous amount of work, and we really don't want to do that. So I'm going to take my time today with the foam that we have. We're going to finish out this half of the roof with that foam, and I feel okay with the methodology that I've got so far. But it's sometimes with Shelter, or having somebody like Shelter to kind of tell us what's normal or what to expect, makes such a big difference. It's not that we're doing it wrong, but like a lot of things we do, we make it way too hard.
We also discussed a few different strategies for getting the roof to be waterproof before we get the roof itself on. And I think we may go that direction where we're going to put ice and water shield on the entire roof substrate, the secondary substrate. That way, basically our roof is dried in and we don't have to rush to get the roofing on, because I just know that's a new thing for Alyssa and I. We're gonna wanna take our time and not get all cattywampus with the sheets of metal roofing and not be in a rush. And if we have it waterproofed, then there's not such a ballistic rush. If we try to do it all at once, well, there's a good chance we're gonna make a mistake, and I don't even wanna know what it looks like when you screw up a metal roof.
So this morning I spent a little over an hour on the phone with Shelter and kind of went through some things with them that I have questions about, just to make sure that we understand them correctly. It has been fantastic working with you guys. If you're watching this video, thank you for holding our hand and just kind of being there for our Mayday phone calls. I don't know, without you guys, we'd definitely be in rougher shape.
We have an issue with these beautiful windows. It's really simple. I did some research. There's so many phases to this build that I'm having a hard time keeping all the research straight. But when I researched the installation detail from this company, they require, from what I can tell, a sill pan and flashing on the bottom of the window. And that's so that if ever water were to get behind the window and it were to get to the sill, it would find its way out. Obviously with the SIPs, we cannot house wrap that. I know a lot of people have asked that. We cannot house wrap this because of two things. One, we haven't done our electrical yet. And because we haven't done our electrical, we haven't foamed yet. We can't foam everything until the electrical is done, because if we fill the electrical chases, now we can't run electrical. So SIPs are a little bit backwards from what you guys would expect from a stick framed house. So we haven't house wrapped because we haven't foamed, and we haven't foamed because we haven't electricaled. So we don't have house wrap around these windows, which you would normally cut and tuck in and do some stuff to gutter the water away from the house. Well, we can't do that in that order, but we want to get some windows installed to help mitigate moisture and air and things like that in the house. So today we're going to go talk to the installer and just kind of discuss this situation with them. I feel better knowing these windows are in the eave. They're protected by the overhang, but there's still that chance that wind-driven rain alone could get on these windows, and they're caulked all the way around. If we flash around them correctly, and then we house wrap around them correctly, and then we trim around them correctly, all that, the chance of water ever getting in there is minimal, but there's always that chance. The other concern I have is warranty. Since we're owner builders, we have no fallback. We are the end of the road when it comes to these products. And I know, for example, with the waterproofing on our basement, we tried to follow the manufacturer's instructions explicitly, even though nobody we talked to seemed to know there was even a product beyond the membrane. Everybody thinks that the membrane is the only thing you have to do to waterproof the basement. It turns out there's a fillet and a caulking, yada, yada, yada. So we tried to follow those instructions. That way we can maintain the warranty, so if we ever have an issue, we can fall back on the manufacturer. Although, from what we've heard, they're gonna give you product which does you no good. With the windows, we wanna make sure that we're not gonna have a warranty issue if something does happen to a window and the installation is not per their specifications. So that's part of our to-do list today. None of that has anything to do with getting the roof finished. What are you doing in the shade? Huh? What are you doing in the shade? How are you staying cool, dude? You have this coat on all year round. It's not thick enough for winter and it's too thick for summer, huh? Okay, a couple more pets and then we gotta get to work, okay? Okay, do whatever it is you do all day. So you know these safety glasses that I mentioned before that I really like? They're amazing, except for my face gets pretty hot in the sun and they don't breathe very good. So I'm gonna try something that's a little risky and see if I can get some relief. Depending on how this goes, I would probably not recommend it for most people.
Now we wait. Give that a try. See if a little bit of air will kind of move through here. Maybe kind of relieve some of that fogging that happens even when it's hot out. I guess maybe just don't work so hard so you don't sweat so much.
Well, here's all of our huckleberry jam. We put a small amount of this in our fridge and it firmed up quite nicely. Hey.
Yeah, I'm ready to go out.
Sweet.
Be sure to save out some for mead.
Okay.
So like 2 quarts, is that what it
cups.
is? 8 cups. Yep,
Okay.
for a batch of mead. Guys, this is the secret to making almost anything you care about shiny.
So we have all this caked on huckleberries that I can't really get off. I've already soaked it for 2 days,
Yeah.
3 days, soaped it, scrubbed it. So we're trying the wool.
It got baked on. We didn't stir it very good.
So put some soap on here.
Yeah. Good. Ye of little faith.
Set up a time lapse. It's gonna be a while.
Right? Keep it up. You'll get her there. It'll look brand new in 10 minutes.
Sweet.
Here's your baby monitor. Oh yeah. New pot status.
Good
Not
enough.
quite new, but darn close.
Way better. I'm happy with that.
Good enough for canning.
So we're 1 cup over a gallon of crushed raspberries, which means we probably got about 2 gallons total. If you're curious about learning how to can, I highly recommend this book right here. This is the Canning Bible. I literally read it cover to cover, and every time I look through it, I feel like I learned something new. So this really explains the difference between water bath canning and pressure canning, when to do what, how to find recipes that are trustworthy. This book here, you can trust the recipes 100%, but when you're getting something on the internet, you never really know. I mean, once you know what to look for, you can start to come to conclusion whether or not that's a good recipe. But this also explains the difference between a jelly, a jam, a preserve, a conserve, a chutney. And I don't know that this information is going to change your life per se, but it's very interesting. So I feel that if you get a very small canner and this book, you can easily make a small batch of something and be on your way to being a pro. From the sounds of it, canning's intimidating to a lot of people, and pressure canning was intimidating to me. But I think the important part is just to get started, start small, and you'll see, like with anything, that once you do it, there's not that much to it. I've been wanting to do a video on our canning setup this year and some of the things we invested in that have really helped us handle these larger batches. So this is the smoothest project yet, and part of that is because the fruit really doesn't need much cleaning or preparation, unlike say cherries that need to be pitted. But I'm loving the big canner, and I've not used it to its full capacity yet, but I'm liking having 1 canner to worry about, where with 30 to 35 half pints, that would fill up all of my canners plus some, and I'd have to do multiple batches, which takes time. 1 canner, 1 pot, working extremely well. I'll link to some of this stuff below this video if any of you are looking for such items. Oh man, this baby's about to go. She's starting to bubble. A couple of things I'm still looking to add to my canning arsenal is a longer spoon, like a wood spoon like this. This one, it's a little toasty down here, and once it starts getting hotter and the bubbles start coming up, I can't reach the bottom of the pan. That's probably how we got all the cooked on huckleberries. And a thermometer that's a little bit longer, because this is really hot. Like, it's a hot summer day, and here I am standing over a stove really close when I probably don't have to be. 205, 215. Come on, last 5 degrees, come on. So I'm not sure why this happened with our huckleberries too. I can't seem to get it that last 5 degrees. It looks like my thermometer maxed out at 215, not 220, but I can say that our huckleberry jam gelled up quite nicely. So I had this baby cranked to high, so high that it was splattering in my face and all over the camera, just a mess. So here we go. With the huckleberry jam, I made a pretty big mess. So I'll give you guys a teaser as to what my new tools are. One of them is this ladle here with little spouts on the end of it. So in theory, you can just dump straight into the jar. But my experience is I start to get fatigued and it starts getting all over the place anyways. And the other tool I got, if you get like an introductory canning kit, Ball will give you one of these, but it's plastic. And I melt plastic things that are near stoves. I don't know about you guys. So I found this one at a local kitchen store. It's metal. I guess this isn't something new. The only thing new is that it's metal. Can you wait a minute, Jesse? You look so beat. This, once this reaches temperature, will be 20 minutes. And then we can jet off to do errands.
Maybe time to cool down a little bit.
Yeah.
Feels good in here, but
It's so hot out there.
I didn't realize how hot it was.
I hate going out there just to get anything, so.
Yeah, it kind of hit me like 20 minutes ago maybe. I was doing really good and just like bam, like lost it and done. But I got that part of the roof done.
You rock.
I know, right? Pretty good.
Foot rub tonight while you're eating huckleberry ice cream.
I'll take the huckleberry ice cream for sure. Stuff's so good.
Foot rubs, meh.
Right?
20 minutes. You moved.
There's no cell phone reception in the back of the garage.
I know. Hardly there. Sometimes you have to go out into the front of the
There's
garage.
none here either. It's just hotter.
All done. Oof. Wow. Ready for the next canning project. Believe it or not, at the start of the season, we bought like 10 half-pint boxes, which is 120 half-pints, and we thought maybe that's enough for the season. Turned out we blew through that in just a few projects. I don't even know that this will last us the rest of the season, because when we get fruit, we get fruit. But buying them 120 at a time seems pretty reasonable. Yesterday, I also had Jesse pick up some more of these plastic mason jar lids. I find that these are a lot nicer than the ring style lids. Just fewer pieces to keep track of. These work really well for ice cream, and I like them so much that I had him pick up some for regular mouth pint jars as well. I don't have any out here, but I find that sometimes things like this are really good for just storing leftovers. We also have some like probably 4-ounce containers. I think a lot of people use them for baby food, but that works out well for leftovers. And again, it's nice to just take one of those plastic lids and screw it on. We actually had a bunch, but because we gift so much ice cream away, we find that a lot of those lids never make it back to us, which is totally fine. They're so cheap, not a problem to replace them at all. We gotta do a trip to town. We'll be back in a little bit when it's a little cooler outside.
Hey, you survived today. You must have found a shady place to sleep, huh? Huh, dude? Did you? Oh, good. It was hot. It was 98 degrees today, Bugaboo. Did you know that? Yeah, you're a pretty tough little sucker, huh?
Looks like they all sealed. shade has taken over the property and we're ready to resume work. And if you remember a while back in this video I'll link to right here, we a few weeks ago planted a bunch of potatoes. We picked up all these black containers because we ran out of raised bed space. This year at least, we do plan on building more, just not right now. I put 3 potatoes in each pot and we still had all of these left over, about 10 of them. So Jesse picked up a few more containers. I guarantee you they're never gonna go to waste on our property. We picked up a little bit of soil and I'm gonna plant the rest because it really wasn't convenient to run to our local nursery to pick up soil with our trailer and tarping the trailer, and it's just in a completely different direction than we normally go. We picked up some from our local hardware store. We did pay about 3 times as much, but we didn't buy much of it, so in the end it was probably worth it to pay more to buy it locally, so we weren't all out all this time to go buy it in bulk.
Tonight, I want to keep working on the roof. I gotta fill you in. This strategy, like so many times, is coming together nicely.
So this time I did foam last. I did everything else first. Hardware, lags, and furring. And then as I was coming down, I did the foam. Look how uniform that looks. I think this is actually probably what was happening on the rest of the roof. The only problem was I was dragging my stupid lifeline through the foam, creating a boogery mess on both the roof and my lifeline. This is the draft stop low expansion foam. Everything's going really good. I can see that I'm using too much foam, but I can see that now.
So we were at the hardware store earlier getting some other things. First of all, I had to replace my dead tape measure, and we grabbed foam. We're running low, we've got like 3 cans left, and I wanted to do a little bit of side-by-side comparison. So I picked up some of the gaps and cracks stuff from Great Stuff. It's a Dow product. It's designed for up to 3-inch gaps. Sounds fantastic, right? It's like triple expanding foam, something like that. It actually is rated as a fire sealant too. The problem is, let me read this to you. Here's what it says on the can. Not to be used for filling closed cavities or voids. That has me worried. It also says that overfilling might buckle some substrates. I guess a lot of this stuff just comes down to experience. My concern with the SIPs is that if we use a foam that is expanding too much and has too much pressure and it cures too quickly, we will end up with peripheral issues. I can imagine if this stuff were to damage the sheetrock or buckle the SIP inside or outside, what a mess. I'm just realizing this right now. I remember reading it on the can at the store and I thought, I don't like that. So we decided to go right back to low expansion draft stop. This stuff is definitely doing the right job. It's not causing any issues. We are going through a lot of it. I'll take the lesser of all evils. I'd rather have no damage and a good seal and pay a little bit more money now to have benefits down the road and not cause more problems for us.
Any of you who've used these foam products know that when this stuff goes bonkers, it goes bonkers. I've seen people use it around door frames and windows and things and end up buckling the entire door frame. And then it's a nightmare to chisel that foam back out and try to get everything righted. Can you imagine if that were to happen on the SIPs?
It's clear to me that I've got a good system. Not dragging the rope through the foam as it's curing and expanding is giving me a much clearer, more consistent picture of what's actually happening. This stuff does take a while, which I wasn't expecting. I'm very accustomed to the foam kind of expanding within maybe 15 to 20 minutes. This stuff seems to take maybe 2 to 4 hours, but I can tell that it's doing a good job because I see a little bit of it on the underside and I see a bunch of it coming out the upper holes. So I think I'm making a decision right now. We're going to continue using the draft stop.
You guys want to know how to wrap up a hose beautifully so that when you pull it out, it doesn't kink on you? Check out the video we'll link to in this video. Freaking awesome. Jesse taught me that trick, about 5 years ago. Okay, so what? I overbought topsoil. We used 2 bags total and we got 8 more. There's a few in the truck. But so far, just having extra soil around has been awesome. You never know when you're gonna wanna plant something or your beds start to settle. You wanna throw some more dirt around a plant. You get the gist. Uh-oh, cilantro's starting to look a little hot. I've been watering these babies twice a day, but you can see that the soil's really dried out. The cucumbers are doing well, probably because there's such a thick layer of mulch around them. Every time I pull the mulch back, the soil is actually pretty moist. And our carrots are hanging in here too, but I don't know, they could probably use a little mulch as well. The last thing I'm gonna do this evening is cut some chard for dinner tonight. I challenged myself to not buy any vegetables at the grocery store. And we ate up whatever we had in the fridge, the last of our green beans. So now I'm gonna try to transition us to eating from the garden. So it looks like for the foreseeable future, we're gonna be dining on chard, kale, and sorrel. Mostly chard and kale. I think tonight we're having chard and kale sauteed with butter and garlic, plus a side of beef. And I bought a beef heart, so I'm gonna grind that up and mix that in. And then we found some delicious, to die for, barbecue sauce. I'll take a look on Amazon. If it's on there, I'll drop a link. Best barbecue sauce you've ever had in your life. And I think they also make an organic version, which our friends found at Costco, but they don't have it at our local store.
How's it going in here?
Just going, just
Good.
collecting dinner.
Nice.
Wanna see what's for dinner?
Yeah, then I'm ready to go up. I see chard. Are you making a salad or are you gonna fry it or saute it?
I think we're
or?
gonna saute kale and combine it with chard.
Nice.
Look at this chard.
Oh my goodness.
Isn't that huge?
Yeah.
So crazy. 3 of these babies and some kale should do her.
Nice.
Welcome to the family. I will try my best to not completely cover you. Oof, look at that. To not cover you in foam. So I forgot we had all these toe boards on this side, so I'm actually gonna need to go all the way up and then work my way back down and remove all the toe boards first. Then we can get the ladder up there. I happen to know on the 4th panel up, 1, 2, 3, 4. So those lags in that 4th panel, you see how they're off by, 2.5 inches, 2 to 2.5 inches? One of those is a shiner. So I'm gonna take all of those lags back out once we get these toe boards off, and I'm actually gonna move them over to be in line with the rest of these lags. I just happened to see that one. That's how little. We have 6 inches to work with. I believe our rafters are 6 by 12s. You get off by 2.5 inches, and if you're a little bit of an angle, now you got a shiner. my morale is up 1,000%, not having to drag everything I have through foam. So I got a little ways. I feel like I'm ahead. We're trying to maximize every bit of daylight, but it's just right before 9 o'clock, and we're gonna try to be up early again tomorrow and do this stuff before it gets hot. Alyssa has been working really hard this evening to get the garden tuned up, and she tells me we're eating dinner out of the garden. So I think I'm gonna go take a break and enjoy it with her. It's possible in my sleep tonight I'll be trying to adjust the thingamajigger on my lifeline, because right now I was totally thinking as I was coming down this hill that I should adjust it so that I don't run out of lifeline. And that's how habitual you get to be.
These holes I drilled in the sides of these lenses worked. Fantastic. The lenses weren't fogging up even though I was sweating like a disgusting pig. Wow, that's gross. 80 degrees. 9 o'clock at night.